with another episode of the Hood Health Report. It's your girl, KV.
And Celine.
And today we have a special guest with us. Tell us who you are.
What's going on, everybody? I'm Eli.
What do you do, Eli?
I'm 6th grade social studies teacher.
Okay.
All right, so you see, give it up, give it up. Educators. You gotta clap for the educators, especially in the time that we're living in now, post-COVID, with all of these regulations and crazy things going on in the classroom. So we brought in Eli to talk about some of those classroom issues, some classroom mottos, and just everything teaching. So first we're gonna get into some this or that so we can learn about you.
Yep.
And also if we got some new watchers, new listeners, we'll also answer the questions as well.
Okay.
Yes. So the first this or that is PWI or HBCU?
That's tough. I went to PWI, so of course I'm an advocate for PWIs, but no disrespect to my HBCU goers or my people of the HBCU alum. So, but PWI for sure.
What school did you go to?
Middle Tennessee State University. Go Blue Raiders. So yeah.
Raiders. Okay. Celine.
Similar PWI, so of course I'm always, rep where I came from. But like I said, if I could go to HBCU, I probably would go to HBCU for like my doctoral degree.
Okay. And what school did you go to?
Memphis.
Memphis.
Go Tigers, go.
Go Tigers, go. Woo! All right, for myself, I'm gonna go ahead and go with HBCU. Proud Spelman graduates, proud HBCU graduate, and all of that. Just HBCUs all around. I wish there was more money for HBCUs to hand out, because I know that is a big reason on why a lot of people don't go. So, we get it. We get it. Gotta go where what makes sense. So, Celine, want to kick off the next one?
Okay, so public schools or charter schools?
On what basis?
You tell us whether it's teaching or whenever you have your future kids.
Yeah.
Would you send your
What you
kids
trying
as
to do?
well? We want to know.
Charter schools.
Charter schools.
Charter school. I would say charter schools because they get their money directly. It's instead of public schools, it's public funding. So their money is split. It trickled down. So charter school, once the state issue the money, charter school get their money directly. So charter schools, yeah.
Okay, so you said charter schools, and this just makes me think about like something I saw on Twitter. I'm not sure how true this is. You might know or may not know. They said like sometimes with charter schools, since it's funded by people directly, they have like a lot of say what the school does and what it doesn't implement. How true is that? Do you know at all?
That's true. So with public schools, it goes budget. So once the state give its money to the public school, it might like athletics. Oh, I only have $1,500 for athletics. Oh, music classes, I only have $2,000 for music classes. With charter schools, they can evenly distribute the money. So it doesn't matter. Everybody probably will have the same money situation. So that is true though.
Okay, I was just wondering. So, I guess I would say public schools, because I feel like public schools build character. So I would say my kids go to public school so they can have a little bit more character development if I have to. So yeah, I would say public schools.
So you bring up a good point. I would say neither. I do not believe in the school system much. Hopefully Eli can restore a little faith in me. As a parent, I already knew I wanted to homeschool for a bit. So now that she's actually here and, we're like, okay, she's 2, she's walking around. We got to start thinking about that school. And I'm like, are we really going to homeschool or will we give it a shot with that public schooling? So I am trying to decide. I haven't even really picked on that, this or that. So.
Have y'all talked about that at all?
We talk about it a lot.
Okay, because I was talking about it. So you really gotta talk about.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get into it. Into it. I got some little anecdotes and whatnot.
Okay.
Next, Although we're drinking tea, our lovely tea here, coffee or tea?
Tea.
Tea, wonderful.
Gotta have tea. I'm not really a coffee fan. Coffee nasty to me. I will have a frappuccino. Is that coffee light?
Coffee-ish.
Coffee-ish. So I will have a frappe or every now and then, but tea always.
Yeah, I'm the same. Tea, I drink tea like every day, but I do enjoy coffee. So you saying coffee's nasty, I'm just like, you ain't had the right thing. You need to just try like a white chocolate mocha. I feel like that's a good
that's coffee-ish. It's got so much milk and cream and everything.
Okay, well,
because that's what I drink.
Yeah,
too.
that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, you doing something like that,
That's
then
my
it's
favorite
okay.
too.
So yeah, but tea Arnold Palmer. So I mean, you know how I said like I feel like that's tea. So I'm going Arnold Palmer every day.
I too love tea. All types of tea: fruit teas, green teas, white teas, cold teas, hot teas. All of it is delicious. I've recently kind of started getting back into coffee, into my, when I do like an afternoon protein shake, because I've been working out and trying to get my energy back up and all of those things. So, in my afternoon protein shake, if I'm feeling a little like, I might take a nap, but I don't need a nap, need to stay up and get stuff done, do a little instant coffee or do something to mix on into that protein. So,
That's
mostly
okay.
tea, but little coffee in there for me these days.
Okay, so arts or sports?
As a sports lover myself, sports, basketball, baseball, football. I even played soccer in high school just to give it a try. It didn't go well, but it was fun just to give it a try. So I do love art, like going to museums, seeing different painters. Shout out to Richard the artist. Support living artists. Dead ones don't need it. That's his brand and logos. So
That's real.
Yeah. So I do like African American arts and culture in that sense, but sports for sure.
Sports. Do you coach any of the sports or want to tap into the gym side of the teaching?
I do. I thought we was gonna save it, but I am also I can't say with school, but however, basketball and baseball coach as well for my school. So
Okay.
I'm also sports. I grew up running track. I did other sports, but track for sure. Went to state for that. Went to college doing sports, like you were talking about earlier with funding and scholarships and stuff like that. So sports all day, every day. But I do enjoy arts. I don't necessarily think I'm the most creative people, but when I see other creatives doing creative things, it's very intriguing. So
where does dance fall? Some people say
It
it
was
falls
both.
in the middle, right?
Yeah.
Kind of falls in the middle. So I guess I'm in the middle. I'd say sports because it's very active, but it's still the arts in that you're creating something, unlike the hard sports where you're, doing a game or you're doing this to complete this task. With dance, it's a bit of both. So I'll say I'm in the middle with that. Okay, so that concludes this or that.
Yep.
So next up, you okay? You okay? You made it through.
no.
You made it through. So next up, we want you to tell us a little bit about yourself, what grade you teach, if you haven't already, stuff that you already said, if you want to put all in the bowl, but what you teach, how long you've been a teacher, and what led you to teaching, / did you always want to be a teacher?
Okay. I go by Eli, sixth grade social studies teacher. I've been in the teaching field for 5 years now, since graduating from Middle Tennessee State University. Originally, I wanted to go into the athletic side as being an athletic director for college or university, but I seen the politics that was in there. So my backup plan was youth athletics, eventually creating my own youth foundation LLC program. So I went into, before I started teaching, I went into Job Corps, Benjamin L. Hooks Job Corps. Is a second chance program for youth. But then COVID had struck. And then so I went into the teaching element. So I enjoy what I do for the most part, giving that foundation to students. It is a tough process. Shout out to all the teachers because every day it's a hard thing to do when you get up. But yeah, so.
Okay, so next up, we're going to get into some interview questions. We like to call this segment, What's the Tea? So you're going to give us the scoop. Here's the tea. And
You take a sip every now and then. Go ahead.
whenever you need to take a minute, go ahead. So, all right, so you can.
Okay, so the first one is most difficult part about teaching during the pandemic.
So when the pandemic first started, I was in elementary setting, and so the difficulties about that was kids always touching stuff, whereas kids don't understand why they can't play with their friends or things, or why they can't just go hug someone or share things, whether it be a crayon, coloring pencil, or even a sheet of paper. So that would be the most difficult part about little kids sharing things, because as a child, you always, hey, have a piece of this, or you can use mine. So for me, that's the most difficult part, because they're not understanding 6 feet or 2 people at a table when their friends is on the other side of the table. So that was tough.
Yeah, you mentioned that. My nephew, he was in like 3rd grade at the time. We would put him on the bus with one mask. He would come back with a completely different mask. Like, it was bad. Like, I'd be like, that is not yours. Where did you get that from? He'd be like, I don't know. My friend gave it to me. So y'all are sharing masks at school? Or he'll be like, well, I took it off to get some water. I don't know where it went. He'd be like, my teacher's so mad at me. She gets mad at me every day because I lose my mask. I'm like, because you're not supposed to take it off. Like, keep it on. He just didn't understand it at all. So I completely understand the kids touching, the kids wanting to play, be friends, switch masks, all that.
So walk us through how you went from a not kindergarten, but elementary school teacher through the pandemic to now being 6th grade. What was that in between?
Well, I always wanted to do middle school because my philosophy was they're not old enough where they don't, where they're defiant, but they're still young enough where they're listening. I was wrong, because the middle schooler these days are twice their age, but it's still a process. So when I was at Job Corps, one of my mentors, Coach Williams, he was also at Job Corps with me, and he was just telling me, hey man, you're a great fit in education. I think you need to go that direction. I always thought that you have to have an education degree to go into education. Apparently with anything, there's loopholes around it. So he got me to start with at the elementary school with the principal there. They were good friends and fraternity brothers. So I started there. I started 2nd grade, then I went to 4th grade, and then 5th grade. So after that, it was time for me to transfer. Like, okay, I think I'm well established enough. Let me see into the portal, see what middle schools is out there. And lo and behold, middle school called me, offered me a position, because I always wanted to teach one subject. And elementary is multiple subjects, everything. So you going from ELA to grammar and writing. You come back, it's math time. You come back, it's social studies time, and that get overbearing. So I said, man, I got to teach just one subject, and it always was social studies. So it just so when the principal called me, at first he was like, I have an ELA position open. I see that what you put. I said, nah, that's not true. The first was social study. ELA was a second option. And then he told me, we got a social study position. I said, cool. So that's how I ended up in middle school. And ever since then, it's been cool.
But no, you are absolutely right about those 6th graders. Middle schoolers are little demons. I'm just going to say it just straight out. Back when I was in Atlanta, I spent some time in the school system, and middle school was the only school where the teacher had to stay with the class in the lunchroom. Mm-hmm. Like, they didn't even get a lunch break because the kids were so bad. You had to come and sit and stand with your class. And that was pretty much all of the schools that I visited in DeKalb County, Georgia at the time. So that's what really deterred me from middle school anything.
Yeah. They're developing, like they're just...
Yeah, they're developing. So they're trying to figure themselves out, and that is an interesting place to be in, with the teacher that you may or may not like.
Yeah.
I liked high school because high school, either you're going to do it or not. You can sit in the class or you can leave.
You
It
can
is
leave.
that simple.
Yeah, it's your choice at that
And
point.
9 times out of 10, they gonna do it because they trying to graduate.
They
At
trying
this
to graduate.
They fed up with school, so they trying to get out.
Okay, so the next question. So while we were studying, researching for this article about different COVID regulations and things, we saw that a lot of the articles mention a decline in mental health in teachers and students. And I would say, did you experience that on either side? Like you saw your students kind of having a hard time, or did you yourself like need to take a step back sometimes or kind of, revisit why you're doing this to keep you going for the day?
The biggest issue it was students being behind because with the COVID, they spent 2 years at home learning. However, teachers didn't have full, control or watch over that because we don't know what you're doing at home. They say that your screen is online, but we see you in the bed sleep. So that was the frustrating part as an educator, and I'm pretty sure other educators, the virtual learning, because it was a process, whether kids get laptops, they break them. Kids around with no Wi-Fi, how they gonna log in? And as far as admin, still trying to observe and doing observation on teachers to ensure that you are teaching and students are learning, it's tough. So from that aspect, it was maybe hard on people's mentals. Not me though, because I'm it is what it is person. So either you get it or you don't. I'm not gonna let that worry me. However, for most teachers, that was a huge reason why you see a decline in the teacher job ratio for teachers because of the pandemic and how hard it is and trying to get students back on track after being not in a classroom setting.
So I have 2 things. The first thing is I was a student during the pandemic, so I was getting my master's degree. And I will say it was a little stressful. Since I was like an athlete, I already did do like a lot of like online learning, but then you go to doing everything online. So you have to be very organized. Luckily, I would say pretty organized in general, so it wasn't that bad for me. But I did have times where I just felt like super stressed out because some of my teachers, university teachers, a lot of them are older. So they're not used to like uploading stuff. They're not used to like trying to log into Zoom. It gets to the point where it's just like, I'm trying to teach myself a lot of this information, and this is new information to me because I'm doing a master's program. And I'm not doing like undergrad or like, general studies where you can like kind of play around, figure it out. So I will say that was like something that I just had a hard time adjusting to at first. But as time developed, I actually started to like being like, freedom of being online, able to do my work at my own pace. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to talk about it a little bit in one of the articles. They were talking about like older educators and stuff like that. So when the pandemics first started happening, like I was saying, a lot of teachers that are older, they had a very hard time adjusting to teaching not in front of classrooms. But like at the same time, a lot of their stress came from they enjoy like, being in the classroom. They enjoy being in front of kids and stuff like that. Like you have to enjoy that stuff. Do you not? Yeah, I was supposed to say, so working from home for them.
So.
Damn, I hate these kids. Right. So when you're in front, like when you're teaching from like a computer, I feel like it isolates you in a sense. So like, did you ever feel like you were isolated or like that you didn't have like a community to like build on when you were doing that?
I would say it creates stagnant. You stagnate because so when you're in a classroom and you see that a child or a student is not getting the information, you can always redirect and use other manipulatives to help them because most students may not get just reading on the PowerPoint or paper. So you can engage them in different activities to help them get what's going on. Virtually, you can't do that. They have to learn this way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Eli. So how has it been teaching, air quotes, post-pandemic?
A process, to say the least, to sum it short, because you have students. So now that we're back in the classroom, you have students that's behind. Like, for instance, kids was in kindergarten that was in the classrooms. pandemic hit, they spent 2 years on virtual. You come back in the classroom, they second graders. So that's 2 years of learning that's missed because you can't even count virtual learning as real learning because they're still behind. So you're trying to bridge the gap, of pushing them back on track if they weren't already not on grade level.
Yeah, and that's interesting because some articles said that Memphis, the reading level is 3rd grade for most students in the Memphis area. So you're fighting that gap already of kids being at a lower pace of learning. And then now you're having to deal with the fact that for 2 years they were at the house supposedly learning, but you're not sure how much they actually picked up when they got back to school.
Mm-hmm. And even with that, and every day is widening, the gap is widening. Mm-hmm. Like I have 6th graders who's reading on the 1st grade level. Yeah. Like that's so far behind. So what would you do in the elementary? You know, the gap is getting larger by daily. That's why we need more resources and we need more teachers to come in. Someone has to take the initiative because it's funny because I remember growing up and the older generation used to be like our generation. Like they used to say, oh, I feel bad when I have to grow older and you my doctor, you know, or things of that nature. No, I feel bad when I get older and little Johnny is my doctor. So yeah. It's crazy. So we have to do something to take initiative, take the charge in changing that dynamic.
Very true. Very true. So after graduation from college, I'm in public health, so I worked in public health fields. One of my first jobs was a part-time job. I worked with the YMCA, and recess was taken out of the schools in Georgia. So YMCA had like a supplemental program where after school, they'll teach them something like meditation or some type of life skill, and then they would also do like some type of activity, you know, some physical activity since recess was taken out. So with this, I went from different schools throughout a few different counties in Georgia. So I got to see different levels of elementary, middle school, and how those schools were ran. And through that, this is how I had that knowledge of 6th grade. Yeah. One school I would go to, the teachers were never there. Whatever teacher was supposed to be administering Fit Club, they were never there. So I'm like, y'all have me drive all the way out here to observe a program that's not going on. Are these teachers ever here? They were like, no, we need teachers. Do you want to be a teacher? I was like, wait a minute. I don't have, like you said, I don't have a certificate. I don't have none of this. So I said, well, I'll start substitute teaching, right, to see what it's like. If this is, you know, being handed to me, like, do you want to be a teacher? We've got this opening where you can train. Like I said, that's when I realized that 6th graders were the devils. I left that school so quick because with substituting, you can substitute any grade. Just whoever, whatever you want to pick, you could just do it. So I went at each grade for a few weeks to see if I really liked it. I hated it all. So like I said, much respect to the teachers that have the patience for it. I don't have that much patience. But with that, I noticed that schools are changing the textbook. They're rewriting history. So one of the classes that I had to substitute for was about 5th or 6th grade class, social studies. I get in there and I'm wondering, because there was a few social studies teachers missing that day. So I'm like, what is going on today? I look in the book. I look at the schedule of things to learn. Today was supposed to be chapter such and such. I turned to chapter such and such, and it is this rewritten history of how we got here as Black people, basically just saying that slavery never happened. We came over here, you know, for jobs. They had the popping jobs, and we were like, ooh, let's leave everything we've got in our home nation to go over here for these jobs. And that was the time where I was like, I really think I want to homeschool my child, because if they got to go to school, learn something wrong, and then come home and I got to reteach them or tell them what's right, what's the point, right? So that brings me to my next question. Do you believe that the current school structure is developing well-rounded students? If not, what is something that you believe needs to change?
It's not. However, something that needs to change is accountability from parents and from administration. It skipped the teachers because at this point, if nobody haven't seen or if it's not enough, it's not the teachers. I remember growing up, we used to beg for my teacher. Is she here today? When you like 180 days in the school year, we'd be lucky if she missed 3 days. Now, teachers, you don't even know if they're showing up to work or not. Because why? One, it's administration, and two, it's the students. And it's the students because it's the parents. So I don't agree with it because Bush had the initiative, and I hate to go to politics.
I was going to go there, but you can go there first.
We gotta go there.
I hate to go the politic route, but the No Child Left Behind is really crippling a student to push them forward. Because once they get in the real world, no one is holding their hands. You know, when you start school, is no way that you should know the basic foundation of 1 through 100 counting or even the ABCs, yet alone spelling your name. Like I have, when I was in school, I'm left-handed, so I write slanted. Teachers tried so hard to make me write straight up and down. Naturally, left-handers, we can't because it's something with the notebook. It's against us. However, but that's the proper structure you write, even from left to right. As a left-hander, I would write right to left. But of course, that got fixed. But you have students now, to go back to that, another reason because of that, because we had writing classes or computer classes to help with the structure of that. Now, you got students in 8th, 7th grade writing on the wrong side of the sheet of paper. They writing backwards. Like, you know the basic, the line is supposed to be on, the red line is supposed to be on the left side. Use your fingers to indent. They don't know none of that. So I feel like a lot of that is because of the No Child Left Behind initiative, like you crippling the students for success.
I completely agree. I was going to bring up No Child Left Behind. I feel as though No Child Left Behind, like you said, it cripples students, but it also doesn't give them an opportunity to see how the real world works. So when they get grown or they get to college, if they go to college, they think that everything's supposed to be given to them. And that just like relates back to sports kind of. When I was growing up, when I did sports, everybody didn't get a trophy. You either got 1, 2, 3. If you wasn't 1, 2, 3, you just didn't get a trophy. But now everybody is awarded for doing the bare minimum. Some students, they get rewarded for coming to school. They're bad. They don't even want to come to school. But if they go to school for a week, they'll give them a surprise or something like that. I know that to be a fact because my nephew, he goes to school. He just doesn't necessarily like school. But he doesn't like school because he's one of those students, like you probably have some of them, they understand that school is for you to learn. He doesn't like taking school outside of school. He doesn't like doing homework. He doesn't like doing any of that stuff. But that's because he feels like school, that's where you're supposed to get all that stuff done anyways. Why do I have to bring it home? So for him, the teachers always say like, he's great, but he just doesn't like to do things outside of school. Why is that? And I think you just have to like, as a teacher, be understanding to each different child and the way they like to learn. And I feel like a lot of times they try to place all the kids in one box with the No Child Left Behind. It's like, even if you aren't getting it from like the house, luckily he has a lot of people that want to see him succeed. So we don't force him, but that's the wrong word. We encourage him, we do. And we make sure that he understands like, hey, this is the reason why you're doing this. So he's not ever to the point where he's not getting the stuff that he needs to get done. But that also reflects on like the parents, like Eli was saying. If a parent isn't involved and then you send a student to school to learn and the teachers aren't teaching them stuff, then you send them back home, they're not gaining anything, but you're going to continue to let them go to grade from grade to grade. And then they get to the real world and they have no skills. They're not setting themselves up for success in the long run. That's how I feel about it.
So I've got an impromptu question since we talked about homework. Are you a give homework every night type of teacher or homework occasionally, work on this project? What type of teacher are you?
Honestly, when I try to give homework because it's the standard. However, sometimes I even be forgetting that I gave them homework because I have so much going on. And it's always that one student. Mr. Morris, I got the homework. Now you got other students who mad because they forgot that
That's
homework.
my nephew. He's
And back in the day,
That's me. You gonna get this 100.
and when I was in school, I laughed because I was that kid that be like, bro, really? So when I see that it's coming full circle and the kid's like, man, come on, why you bring it up? I give them the opportunity, like, if I try to make 5-10 minutes, cut class short to, hey, if you have any work, this is your chance to do it now. So I give them that opportunity to do that homework, but I typically don't give homework. It might be most likely what I want to enforce to students is review their notes, like review what I gave you because you're going to see it on the test and because kids lack memorization. So I know if I see something and then I see it again, I'm going to try to remember that. They don't understand that. Like I see kids, you get them the same question 3-4 times, they still get it wrong. At this point, it's on them because it's the same question, probably reworded in a different format or as far as A being C now and C being B, but it's the same question. So I try not to give homework, but if they make me mad, I do be like, all right, I got something for y'all.
Do kids still have to like, I know when I was growing up, we had to remember speeches and recite poems. Like, is that still a thing?
I remember in social studies, we had to do that too, the preamble. Yeah, I mean, we had to do that, but they don't do that no more. So that's things like that. And that goes back to your point of rewriting history and stuff like that. Because social study, and that's another reason why I got into social study, because I like history and I like people knowing your history, know your culture. A student, from elementary, social study is only a 30-minute block compared to having a 55 to an hour session in middle school. And even with that, the last time a student would actually know about social study is second grade, because third, fourth, and fifth, they don't do social study.
What's it, geography?
No, it's not even geography because it's not tested. In third, fourth, or even elementary, social study is not tested. So they feel it's no importance of even going over social study. Middle school, it's the same way. Social study is not important to the district, or they feel like it's not an important subject. It's not a core subject. Let me say, I'm not going to say important. It's not a core subject like math and ELA. However, the difference is social study is tested in middle school and high school. So you say it's not a core subject, so you don't create importance or urgency for it, but you test students on it. So that's the issue that a lot of history or social studies teachers having.
Okay, what we have?
Yeah, that kind of brings us to the next question. Do you believe that the current system is set up for children, and I'm going to specifically say Black children, to succeed?
I will say this. I feel like more resources is needed for every student, either African American, white, Asian, or the Latino. It's the resources is needed for really. You brought up the YMCA, so really the after school resources is needed for students. Something to keep them engaged, like technology or whatever the basis is. Like it's nothing for the students to do that keeps them engaged. Like after you take out the aftercare programs, you take out the music programs, you take out the arts programs, the drama club programs, the choir programs. Like I remember having all these programs. Like it's nothing. They think that straight academics is the way to go, but that's why the absentee rate is high, because students don't want to go to school. So,
And like you said, parents some parents ain't gonna be eager to get their kids to school. Like we was talking about Abbott Elementary a few weeks ago. Like on Abbott Elementary, where the lady was bringing her child to school 30 minutes late every day because she was like, "Oh, I just take them on my way to work. I didn't think it was that big of a deal." Like, no, you have to take your child to school on time.
That's how parents think, though. Parents think, but it's nothing for them. But like, I remember you didn't want to go to school when I was growing up, but it was fun because the people around. And so I used to tell my parents, like, hey, I got to go to school. I want to go to school. It can even be the last day of school. If everybody the day before say they going to school, I'm going too.
I'm going. Yeah, I like going on last day.
It's my last day. I'm going to see y'all.
So we outside. So next week we talk about the book ban that's going on in Florida and a few other states. You've heard about that, right? So has that affected your classrooms at all, or has administration made a statement about it? Are they for it or against it? What's your...
As far as taking out textbooks, or is related to the history part?
This it's not necessarily textbook, but like the additional readings. So you know how you would have like a summer reading list in high school. So some of those books they say contain, they like to use inflammatory words like, oh, it contains pornography, but it doesn't. It just has someone who, you know, may not be so sure about their identity. So they don't know if they want to be called he or she. So a book may contain something like that. And so since that's giving children a gateway to, you know, see different lives, a lot of parents don't approve of that. So they say, nope, that can't be, you know, my child can't read that. So the whole district now has to do away with that. Has Shelby County, whatever school system you work for, I'm not sure which one, whatever school system you work for, have they made a statement on this? Or is there some newsletter where they say they're for or against it, or they're saying, nope, we're going to keep these books in the classrooms, no worry, teachers, or they haven't said anything about it?
Well, when it comes to resources, that goes back to resources. We don't even have the funding, not to talk about nobody, to even have those different type of books. Like I remember going back to my school, like we had book series like the Blue for High series, or To Kill a Mockingbird, or what's another one?
To Kill a Mockingbird is absolutely on that list. It's on the banned list.
It is.
But you know, so things like that, we had those type books. It's like one of those books, like when you get to 9th grade literature, or when you get to go back, when you get to 7th grade, this teacher right here, you gonna read that book. Like my brothers and them, we didn't have to pay for, because I had 3 older brothers who was over me. My mom was like, we didn't even have to pay for the book again, because here it go in the back closet. We know you're going to have to use it. Now, some pages might have been torn out of it. However, but my mother was like, we not finna pay for that book again. So it's tough to say the least. But I feel like that's kind of, as far as Florida and the state, that's kind of being hypocritical, because when it comes to television shows or things of that nature, or same communal bathroom, it's like you support that cause. But now, on the other hand, when it comes to reading or expanding knowledge, it's an issue. So
it's control. Well, I don't want to talk too much about it right now, my personal thought process, but I think it has a lot of people controlling the narratives that they're painting. So the next couple of questions are going to be like personal value kind of questions. So as a male teacher, well, a Black male teacher, what's the most rewarding part of your job?
I guess respect, in a sense, because students know I'm not going to disrespect you. So I expect the same respect. So you respect me, I respect you. I'm not going to think of you as a little child or belittle you, but you going to understand I am a superior to you in the case of leadership. So teaching them that respect, the yes sir, no sir, or I'd be like, when they be like, what man? Because it's sometimes it can slip out.
Just come out.
To them, it slip out. My first, like, who you talking to? I'm sorry, Mr. Morris. Yes, sir. So, like, it's just that respect thing. So that's one of my values, just respect things.
So do you have, because you're dealing with 6th graders. This is impromptu too. You're dealing with 6th graders. A lot of them have like a mindset. I kind of had this mindset growing up where, you know how kids think to themselves, you're telling me I need to respect you, but do you respect me? So like, do you ever have to deal with students that think to themselves, you aren't giving me respect, why do I have to give you respect?
No, because that just goes back to the thing I was just saying. Like, I'm going to show you respect. I expect the same respect. So, like, it's just that simple. Like, my expectations is my expectations, but I'm not going to treat you any differently. And even, let's say one day you fail to meet my expectations, I'm not going to have, you know how most teachers, little Johnny, act up in your class one day, the next day you don't want to see him, or, you know, a thing you kick him out, like you still have that issue with him. For me, I'd be like, the next day, like, we back on square one. Like, you probably had a bad day, that's cool, I understand, but don't do that no more. And so it goes back to showing them being relatable and understanding to them. That's a sense of respect to them. Like, oh, he actually care about me. Yeah. And then so in return, I got to do right in Mr. Moore's class.
So like a role model.
Yeah, I guess.
That brings up another point of when I was in the classroom, because I substituted probably a couple years. I gave it a good bit of time to go through the grades. And then I had a friend who was working on her doctorate, and she was gone for like a month, and she was like, I need a sub for a month. So I had gotten to those type of positions as well. But one thing I did notice that a lot of teachers don't pay attention to, when children act out, is usually they want attention or there's an unmet need. So if a child is acting out, your first instinct shouldn't be, oh, why are you doing this? Da da da. I give them something to do. So I would have this, everybody would consider this child the troublemaker. We'll just keep along with little Johnny. I had little Johnny in my class, and there was other teachers who would come by to check on me to make sure little Johnny wasn't running me ragged. And I was like, well, what do this child usually be doing for y'all to find it such concern? Oh, it's a sub in Miss Washington class. We got to make sure she's okay because little Johnny is cut up. And I was like, no. He started acting the fool. I put his desk right next to mine. He slid his desk right there to touch mine. You must want to be the teacher's assistant. Okay, so go sharpen the pencils. Go do this. Little Johnny loves me. He didn't want me to leave that classroom because he got the attention that, and I can admit, a lot of teachers probably don't have the time to do that, because it might be, 30 students in the class, 4 of them are having a moment. You don't have that time to dedicate to them. And a lot of these classes are overcrowded. I feel like it shouldn't be more than 12 students to a class. Like, after really teaching a class, I feel like 12, 15, that's the max, because you have different learning styles. So if half your class are visual learners and then the other half have to hold something to manipulate it to really understand it, you have to be able to cater to those things. So that's definitely something that you said there. So the next question: do you think that representation matters in the school, being Black and a Black male teacher? And did you have any Black male teachers growing up? Was there somebody that you were like, oh, I want to be just like him? Or
that's where we at now. That's really my inspiration of why I keep going, because I didn't see my first male teacher until that was actually a core teacher until 6th grade, Mr. Jones. So in social studies. So boom. Then I didn't see my next male teacher until 8th grade. So in elementary, I didn't see no male teachers in the classroom. I had a music teacher and maybe a resource teacher, but that wasn't for me. So I feel like we are the 2% as far as African American index in the school system. It's 2% reputation. I think that does need to increase, because whatever the child is not getting at home, whatever the case may be, they need to have a safe zone where they get it. They need to have an environment where they know they can get that. So I feel like representation is a must in the school system.
Yeah, similar. I had my first male teacher, 6th grade. My first Black teacher, he wasn't even a core teacher. He was an art teacher. But still, after that, I didn't have any more male teachers till I was in 10th or 11th grade in high school.
I had Black male teachers. I had some of everybody. I was in Atlanta.
Yeah, you caught the good end of the stick.
Right.
So yeah, but it's tough.
And I still remember those teachers because they were like so fundamental to my learning style. Because you're like, oh wow, this is so different than what I'm used to seeing. Like they taught. I feel like male teachers teach in a different style than women teachers teach. Like I can't really describe it. You might know what I'm trying to say though. Like as a male teacher, do you feel like you kind of teach more of a certain way that maybe a female, more relatable to certain things that maybe a female teacher can't relate to when they're trying to teach a subject such as social studies and stuff like that?
I would say, well, to the extent I know that my students always tell me that I use good examples. So I guess if you put it that way, but I ain't, what I want to say is gonna create a man versus woman debate.
Okay.
So we just gonna leave that out. So,
So has a student ever taught you something? And if they did, what was it?
That's a good one. Let me think. Can we come back to that one?
Yeah.
Okay. That's a good one.
I had another quick question in between that. So in one of the articles I read, it was basically talking about like teacher salary, and she was saying she made $41,000 a year, and that was an increase where she was from. Do you feel like teachers are underpaid?
They are, but it's crazy that you say that because it was just an increase in the Shelby County. Shelby County had an increase, and others. Well, let me not say Shelby County. Tennessee, the state of education of Tennessee, gave an increase to teachers. So I guess after years and years of finally hearing the voices and concern of teachers and the union representation, they finally gave those teachers those increases. However, I think it should still be higher than what it was increased to. Mm-hmm. So if you ask me, I need your mama's salary because I'm really a daycare provider.
Yeah.
I need whoever you go after school salary. So it's tough.
Okay. Did they give you enough time to come back, or they didn't give you enough time?
So we're going back to that question. Read the question.
Okay. Has a student ever taught you something, and if they did, what was it?
I wouldn't say like just one student taught me something. However, I would say students taught me patience, if anything, and understanding, because I always be thinking like, man, I know our part was like, I wasn't bad in school. I was just talkative, and like I just felt like I always had to talk. It got so bad. Like my 5th grade teacher, Miss Smith, I would never forget this. Like she isolated me so bad. Like the class was like back here. She put me in front of the class in the corner, and you know we had the whiteboards, the little chalkboard that you write. The little easels that you can walk around, right? She put that junk in front of me. So I was like, and when my mama and them, my mother and father came to school, she was like, he just talks like uncontrollably.
You got something to say.
It got to the point, like, that's why I laugh at the audience, like, it don't matter where you move me to, I'm cool with everybody in the class. And that was just me, like, you can move me over here, I'm cool with everybody in the class. So I always wanted to go back to that point, like, man, was I like this? I know I wasn't like this. So I guess patient and being understanding, and you got to realize, like, yeah, it's coming back full circle. Like, this was you. So you just got to understand it. Just respect them and keep your respect.
Okay. And our last question is, do you have a teaching motto or some type of teaching thing that you live by?
As far as me or to the students?
Both.
Do better. So, like, even, you know, whether it's grades or behavior or participating in sports or whatever it is, if you know that you didn't get the results that you was looking for, just do better. You know, not necessarily do your best, but every day you just want to do better. So when you get to time to perform again, you know, your best is there. So every day, just do better.
Improvements.
So when they get ready to leave my class, Ms. Moore, I just be like, do better. so like, do better. So yeah.
Anything else you want to add? Something that you want the listeners to know, or a question we might have forgotten, but you're like, oh, I want to say this about schooling.
No, I appreciate you guys for having me. Y'all probably say this, but like, subscribe
Yeah.
to the Hood Health Report.
Yeah, tell them.
Celine, KB, you know.
Yeah.
Support black businesses.
Yeah, hear me. Yeah, hear me.
You know,
share it.
Did
Tell
you
a
drink your
friend.
tea today?
Did
So
you drink your tea?
that's it.
That's
Okay.
I know
it.
they're gonna have where they can follow me.
Oh yeah, we gonna
Give them the people your socials. What do you want the people to
Why I
find?
gotta point it? It don't matter, y'all.
It don't matter. It don't
Do your
matter.
You
thing.
can follow me at Morris Xco _. That's MORRISXCO _. You know, I be seeing y'all be getting a little followers and stuff. Celine, she be getting followers and stuff. So you can follow me on Instagram. So yeah.
Make sure you follow the pages: Facebook and Instagram, Hood Health Report, Twitter, Hood Health Pod.
Thanks and bye-bye.
See y'all next time.